do you think of The Sims? I got this video request a few weeks ago, and I knew that we're going to go on a field trip. Don't think that there's a single franchise that disappointed and satisfied me as much. Don't think that there's a single other franchise that I feel so strongly about. There's so many good memories there, so many horrible memories there. We'll sit back as Murta very subjectively reviews all 4 main Sims games. The Sims 1. This is probably the last time all Simmers enjoyed the exact same game and didn't have internal fights of what is better and what is worse. Sims 1 amazed us because there was simply nothing like it. And it did not matter that the furniture selection was very basic or that sim customization ended up at selecting an outfit and a head. Looking back at it, I don't think that The Sims 1 knew what it wanted to be, and because of it, it created a very beautiful mishmash that made it so unique. Things that I miss. Not knowing did it want to be child-friendly or not. Babies are born from kissing, but cake strippers exist. Something that no other Sims game will dare to be again, and it's a shame. The phone calls. Sometimes random, sometimes creepy. It added flavor to the game and perplexed me at the same time. Music. Sometimes cheery, sometimes depressing. It was in a completely different style than all the other games. It tried to be serious, it tried to be quirky. It succeeded at being memorable. Let me link you to Build Mode 5, which is also what should be playing in the background right now. It's still my to-go-to sad track. You don't need a game attached to it, it stands on its own. Sad thing is, the person that composed it, I don't think that they did much else, and the game's music will always be just known as Build Mode 5. Plastic inflatable sofas! I know that that's a very stupid point, however it is something that got stuck in my mind. So colorful and extraordinary. No other Sims game tried to put furniture from the 60s. So while there was barely any choice or variety in your furniture, there was imagination. The neighborhood expanding with expansions on its own. Unlike The Sims 3 and 4, where you need to make space to put down a building, it got really tricky with Sims 3 after a while, and it's gonna get even trickier with The Sims 4, I imagine, because of how little space there is. Extra area just appeared when you installed the game. Sometimes it was like another menu, another like little icon thing, but it always just got there. You didn't need to do anything. You didn't need to connect the area to the mainland, and you didn't really need to try and plop buildings down. Imagine how horrible it would have been if you had to like plop down all of the vacation areas. That would have been so bad. Things that I do not miss. There's only one point in this list, but it makes it hard for me to revisit this game. Brutal difficulty and grindiness. Sims needs fell so fast that there wasn't time in the day just to build a skill or be by themselves. You lived day by day doing a tiny bit of skill building and friendship building to rank up in their job. It took so long to get anywhere and was so easy to fail. Some people no doubt enjoyed this, but for me, because of it, the game aged so badly. Time was infinite in the sense that your sim could never die, but in real life hours, maxing a single sim could have taken months of gameplay time, much longer than any other Sims game. And on top of that, here's a little bit of footage of my sim getting stuck on a dog. The only way to solve that is to reload the game. Oh, whoopsie, I pressed something, I pressed it off. Good, we're good. The Sims 2! Now this one was one hell of a leap in technology from 1. Sims were now actually 3D, and they lived and died. They were no longer trapped as always adults and always kids. Sims now grew from a baby, to a toddler, to a child, to a teen, to an adult, to an elder, to death. We lost strippers and cakes, difficulty and odd calls. We got genetics, passage of time, lineage. It's funny, Sims were no longer infinite, but they felt so much more precious and easy to connect than those from The Sims 1. We obviously lost a few people that liked the quirky things about The Sims 1. There's no way that Sims 2 did not lose something in transition, but it did not lose me. Things that I miss. Personality points instead of traits. Made everyone more alike at the same time, more different than traits ever could. Traits made Sims that could potentially not share anything in common, but they also made them very five-sided and next reiteration, three-sided. With personality points having an extreme personality, like I can show you here with a Sim juggling, because they're max playful, having an extreme max stat made you do different things, which I liked. The stories. Every town came with a carefully crafted story and lineage in those family trees. Sims 3 and 4 did not even attempt to pull something as complex as Bella's abduction story. The stories inside families are not worded, but you can also see that a lot of careful thought was put into it, and they complement the story of the whole town. Stores for everything! You want to play a specific game on your computer? You go buy it. You ran out of food? Well, sorry, buddy, you don't pay the fridge. Want new clothes? Go to the store. It made the game more realistic for me. I know that for many people it's an improvement to lose the stores, but I was disappointed to be able to change clothing whenever I liked in The Sims 3. Found that less realistic and more simplified simply for gameplay reasons. I did not like that. No building that you can visit is a rabbit hole. Every single community lot that you can go with your sim, you can go there and you can take a look around. I've yet to see produce aisles in either Sims 3 or Sims 4, and the lack of detail really upsets me. The attention to detail. You didn't teleport the cars, you opened the doors to climb in. When you would open a grocery store fridge, they would fog up, and then the fog would go away after a while when you closed it. It's little pointless things that other games no longer bother. It did not have to be there. It's pointless, but they put it there because they loved the game that they were making. And I miss seeing that so much. Everything has a consequence. Even if it was only in the shape of memories, if your sim did not age up well, they will remember that till they die. If they never went to college, they'll remember that. Nobody ever taught them to speak, never potty trained them, never learned to walk. They will remember that. It was not a temporary sadness, it was something written into their person. You were aware of their happy or miserable life until they died. The Sims 3 later tried the memory system, but did not understand the purpose of it. They thought that we wanted pictures to share to Facebook for every skill point we gained, rather than something that our character remembers. So instead what we got is a little billboard where every single little thing goes recorded in it. And they go, hey guys, do you want to share this on social media? Look how much fun you're having. It's like, no, I wanted a footprint for my character. And that's another thing about The Sims 2. Last game with no obsession with social media. Our Sims did not know what Sinstagram or social network is. Everything wasn't on a smartphone. We had in-game hung phones, in-home hung phones even, and computers. The game had newspapers and they had a purpose. At the same time, the game had sci-fi elements and technology that we would never see. I know that you might say that Sims games change as the times do. However, I would argue that originally they were somehow lost in time. There's no specific time period to be located in The Sims 2 or 1. They had a mixture of everything, and that made them timeless in a way. If you're gonna open The Sims 4 and The Sims 3, 10 years from now, you're gonna be like, Twitter's not a thing, Instagram's not a thing, Facebook's not a thing. I can locate when this was made. It's not so for The Sims 2 and 1. No forced updates. This is the last game that did not have them. Updates were reserved for bug fixes, and all of your content came from stuff packs and expansion packs. If you did not like the theme and did not want that in your game, you did not buy it. The game also did not encourage you to cheat. Sure, there were cheat codes, but EA did not give you them in tips. There weren't any age skipping mechanics in game either. You couldn't just avoid toddlers or babies or children by just aging them up. Overall, all good points of The Sims 2 somehow gave it a soul. The game was unique and memorable, and no matter how dated it gets, I'm able to revisit it again and again and again. I can howl to the moon and rip my hair out how I'm never gonna get the period back of 2004 to 2009, and boy would I love to. I would love to relive actually buying expansion packs and being so excited over a game and not seeing major flaws. I would really love that in the simulation game again, but obviously they're no longer catered towards me. But I can't say that The Sims 2 was perfect, so here are the downfalls of The Sims 2. No time progression outside of your own household. Heck, there's no option to even at least age player non-controllable Sims up, such as maids. Everyone besides you is frozen in time. The situation was fixed a little bit by the end of the life cycle of the game by allowing you to select Sims to age up from your friends list when you had a party and aged up yourself. For the most part, childhood friends remain children, and teen sweethearts get left behind in the never-ending years of rebellion. Here we see Johnny's birthday. If Johnny was to move out, his parents would never die, and his little sister would never grow up. It's kind of tragic, isn't it? I so want to get off my own lot. Seeing that last building tile at the end and not being able to even walk around and explore feels very restrictive. Both The Sims 3 and The Sims 4 at least let you walk around your neighborhood. The graphics, especially those of the objects outside of your house. It was a pleasure to be able to actually see other buildings at a time, but now every time when I turn my camera to the distance with the buildings on, it looks very jarring. Not much of a graphics whore, but it's a point that I wish I could change. Tea break as my voice is dying. The Sims 3. I have a hate relationship with this one. Even though I'm well aware that it brought a new generation of Simmers for whom this reiteration will be the most important one. There are many reasons why I dislike it. However, it wasn't all bad. I revisited it, and I think I actually like it more now than I did when it came out. I might actually pick up and play it at some point, for a little bit. Because there are some good points in it. Intro cinematic. This is a mention because this is the last time EA bothered to make one. Which is a shame because rewatching those brings me some good memories, and plus it shows lack of attention to detail as time continues. As time continues, more and more things drop off the game. You think it was small things, it's pointless to waste resources there. It's okay, nobody watched those anyway. Forget the intros, but it shows lack of love to your project. It shows that you no longer really care. And that's what really kills it for me. The color wheel. One thing that is now gone. I did not like it that much because it messed with my genetics. If I changed green-haired Sims to red-haired, the hair to red, the baby would be red-haired. However, I appreciated the ability to change my clothing color to whatever I wanted to be. I really wish that it was so again, because it allowed you so much more customization with so much less stuff. Choose your pattern. While I did not use this function much because of how long the patterns would take to load, it most definitely made it easy to make a house that matches in style, no matter what sort of furniture you have bought. One of the biggest problems with The Sims 4 and The Sims 2 is that if you have a relatively good bed and a relatively bad chair, you cannot make them match. Like, not even in color wise, it's just completely different. So your house ends up being a lot of mismatch of everything. And yes, you can decorate with this, and I'm used to this system, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't like choose a pattern back. open world. Fortunately, the exchange for this was to turn almost every building into a rabbit hole. However, I did enjoy being able to go to a park or a club without a loading screen in between. It also made you feel like you actually lived in a neighborhood or a city, not merely existed somewhere isolated on your own. And while I understand why that can't work, having in mind how badly it ran for me, that doesn't mean that I didn't appreciate them trying. Collectibles. Now, this one is a weird one, I know, but I do like to collect. Like trying to find all of these little rocks or those little bugs or those gems. I like zooming in on the map and trying to search for those little things just to collect them. And they were so tiny in The Sims 3, like they did not stand out in The Sims 4. And while they had spawn points, they were so tiny. So you were like literally zooming and searching the environment. And I did enjoy that part of the game. And it's not gone from The Sims 4. But it's something not seen in the Sims game before, and it is changed in 4. It's made very obvious and very big. While I miss point-based personality, I must admit I did have fun with just how different the traits made the Sims. The differences were almost jarring and over-exaggerated, but I much appreciated the different interactions that they have brought. World adventures! I'm not kidding. Due to how unpopular it was, I know that we will probably never see this again. Because people really wanted a holiday pack for their family, and that's not what World Adventures was, so it really upset the fans. But on its own, World Adventures was actually pretty good. It allowed me to play a small adventure mini-game in my simulation game and unravel some mysteries. It was not family holidays, but I will really, really miss it if I never see it again. Day and night cycle being gradual. This created for some nice screenshots and added atmosphere to the game. An important point, as up to now, it suddenly changed to nighttime at 6 p.m. and daytime came at the second at 6 a.m. And while the gradual wasn't actually like completely gradual, like the lighting did change a lot over the course of an hour or two. But because there was like 4 or 5 changes in a day, it looked so much better. Now that's a nice long list of things that I like, isn't it? I can understand why one would love this game. Why to them this would be the game, as The Sims 2 is to me, but this is why I personally don't want to pick it up again and did not get much enjoyment out of it despite how hard I tried. Well, I might pick it back up again, I mean I have it, so why not, but this list really diminishes my enjoyability. I did not like the graphical style of the game. I know that should not matter, but it really turned me off. Sims looking like clumps of clay. Jagged edges on everything, which I did not find when I came back to my game. There must be like a setting that they changed or something that changed, and I came back and I was like, this is not how I remember it, so that was amazing. Women have such broad shoulders that they look like men in dresses in this graphic style as well. Like, they have shoulder width of a man, and that's not how real life works. So when I saw that, I can no longer unsee it, and I wish that I could change that, honestly. A lack of love. It really felt like the game was produced to get money and not for whatever other reason. They are not aligning perfectly on some sculpts. This is some examples, but it was actually quite worse with store items that I downloaded illegally. So I'm not showing them right now because they no longer have them. I just have what I bought to make this fair. But like you can see, some hairs clip, other hairs make like a square shape with hair strands that are also 2D, and you're like looking at this and going, why? Why did you do this? They also just teleported into cars, and there was rabbit holes everywhere. As if nobody in the studio cared anymore. It's like the soul of the game was gone. And while it isn't, it's hard to explain, but that's how I can explain it. It had no soul to me. Too easy. Because the focus was now your world and not the sim. Your sim's motifs decayed ultra slow. The consequences in shape of memories were also removed. If you did not take care of your toddler, what would happen? Oh, they would have a moodlet for like a day. Big deal. They have like a 200 day lifespan. They were sad for one day. Well, that's not very much of a consequence, is it? It felt like my actions no longer mattered. I could do things to see an animation. When I realized that I'm doing things to see an animation, not for a goal, I was like, what is the point? What's the point in all of this? And the clip that I'm showing right now, I'm repeating the day and night cycle, but look at the needs of my sim. The only time it actually started decaying was when my sim was autonomously rummaging a garbage bin. They also completely did not need me there, so I could just let this run as a desktop. There's a background. It's an interactive background, that's what it is. And way too easy, guys. Every expansion pack was a headache to place in your neighborhood. Unlike The Sims 1 that expanded with every expansion, or The Sims 2 that allowed you to connect neighborhoods, in this one you had to actually go into your neighborhood seeking for an empty space, possibly demolishing some things to place new buildings. Even something as simple as seasons had to be partly implemented by player by hand, as you had to go and plop down an identical park to the one that you had in your neighborhood. At least that was the way it was when I last played. Now when I checked, the park was already switched. But the point stands, like, my favorite neighborhood was the one of pets. I do not have pets installed, but if I wanted things in there from ambitions, I had to like make plots and like place down the fire station and like place down this, place down that. And you're like, where can I put this little lot so that I can place this down instead of it just being a connected thing? Just like The Sims 4, it had forced updates at the time with the content. Something that I absolutely did not want in my game was body hair, as it looked very ugly, but I had to live with it because there was no way to take it out. Oh, Murta, just do not use it. Well, I'm sorry, but if I go to a pool and I see a bunch of NPCs looking as hairy as this, it's kind of really putting me off. Now when you look back at the whole game, you don't see them as updates anymore. You go, this is what comes with the game because it's no longer actively updated. It's probably gonna be the same with Sims 4. However, at that point I was terrified about what can happen before an expansion pack and what's gonna leak into my game despite me not wanting it to be there. It ran very poorly on my computer. Actually, when I launched it to record all of this, the game was all like, we do not recommend you to launch with all of the expansion packs untick some expansion packs. Well, and if you're launching with all of them, I had like 5, then you're launching it at your own risk. And I was like, yeah, alright, I'm launching it at my own risk. I managed to capture a bit of lag, but that's the extent of lag that I have right now, which doesn't seem so bad, but back in the day when I had a weaker computer that actually matched the specs of the computers that you would have when The Sims 3 came out, and it wasn't that bad even, it ran like doggy turd. It was super bad. It was fairly buggy as well. Not everybody's experience, but to me, bugs were fairly game breaking. Car build up in a random part of your neighborhood after you played with your save for a long while and you don't want to delete your save. World Adventures refusing to give you any more of your main story quests, which is a shame because I really enjoyed that aspect. I enjoyed like exploring tombs and stuff. Only allowing you to take minor main scenario quests, like really minor, like pick me up some rocks, and it's like alright, so I don't get to explore anymore. It's fixed by you deleting and rebuying the World Adventures bored and then leaving and coming back. But there's like 3 days before you can come back again. So you're like, I'm wasting this time. It's like not a 100% fix. So when you come back, you might need to do that again. So that was crap. It's still in there. You can still encounter that bug. Not necessarily, but you can. I remember attempting to do a build your neighborhood challenge. Kitty on desk. And it included doing rotational playthrough multiple households and having a specific amount of kids and stuff like that to so-called unlock being able to like build a museum and park. And I was really enjoying it at the time. Except the game, like, at some point started deleting my adult sims, some of my kids, and some of the pregnancies. And that really ruined it for me. And I was like, alrighty then, it can't exactly handle game modes like that. I should just focus on a single family, and that does get boring after a while. So, like, you pick it up and you go, yeah, this is the type of gameplay, but when you can't feasibly do rotational very well. Yeah. I hated the music. I'm gonna, not all of it, playing in the background the exact music that I hated. I know that they were going for like Top Shop and like building shows and that sort of thing, but for me it sounded very, very childish, and every time when I would like switch off build mode and buy mode, it would just really ruin it for me. I would just like want to leg it from there. After expansion packs, like some okay music got mixed in there, but those original tracks are still there, and really hate the sound of it. Like, this is the only Sims game in the series where I really hate the sound of the music. The Sims 4, and here we are in the newest generation. Actually, let's call it a reboot, because that's what it should have been. I'm currently not playing the game over the fiasco of the forums, and I'm quite afraid for the game's future. But with the lack of everything and the uncertainties, there are some elements there that threw me back to feeling how I felt when The Sims 2 was coming out. It felt like the game had soul again. It's as if it's a nostalgia of sorts. And it felt like somebody in the team cared despite everything that's missing. And it's really hard to explain because it has those tiny little bits of gameplay that you find again. And it grasped something in me. So in the concept of it, I like it. But I think that it's best that I leave it alone up until pretty much the end of its lifespan, because once again it's completely uncertain what you get every single month, and I already got burned with an update and I don't want to get burned again. I want to be able to look back and go, would this be a game I play, yes or no, instead of every month going, would this ruin my game? Good points. Create a sim. I love how you can morph the body this time around and how body shape can be inherited. Creates for far more varied sims, and I no longer have to put up with the female shoulder fiasco thing. I can just really squish it down, and if I feel like it. If I feel like it, I can like make a stick man or really exaggerated figures, and I like that. Building. I like how I can just click to expand or shorten rooms. How the decision to do foundation is not at the very start, and I don't need to demolish the whole building to put a foundation in. I can just do it whatever I like. This is really big improvements here, guys. The focus is back on Sims rather than the world. The needs fall faster again. Even though we're still lacking long-term consequences, I feel like the Sims are mine again. I feel like I care about them again, despite the game being really bad at recording history. Like, it no longer allows you to do a storybook, it no longer has family trees that really work, and that's a real shame. But I feel like I connect with my family and I put that work in myself to have a complete family tree or to have a storybook, because I do it outside of the game. And I'm willing to put up with it. Like, that's how much the game drew me back. It does not bog down my computer, no matter how much I overload it. And that means that if I wanted to, unlike The Sims 3, I could actually literally install every expansion pack at the back of the game at the end of its lifespan and play it with all. Instead of going, okay, what do I switch off to make this playable? Rotational plays back. I can switch aging off on families that I intend playing, but that I'm not currently playing, and allow the rest of the world to gradually grow old. Or any mix of these things. I can switch aging off entirely. I can switch it for everybody but my active household. Options! We like those. All buildings are actual buildings again. Gone are the days of the rabbit holes with only the exterior. If I got spa day, which I do have, but I was too lazy to plop down a spa, I can go into spa and do all the relaxing activities myself rather than wait outside a building. Here's my sim in the bar and all of the things around the bar, all of the buildings. You can go there and you can do things. With the way that the gallery got integrated into game, it's very easy to download other people's stuff and just plop them into a game. Here is me plopping down a kitchen that I cannot afford, but it's very pretty kitchen, by the way. It feels so much fluid to actually share things than it was in The Sims 2 and 3 times of when you would go through a website and you would download a package and the game would install it for you, and then you would open the game and then you would find what you downloaded and then you put it in. Instead, here it's like click of a button, plop. I really appreciate that. The gameplay has a lot of shortcomings, and it would be very mean of me to not mention them. Like I mentioned multiple times, forced monthly content updates. If you don't like it, you can't take it out of your game. Neither can you avoid the bugs that the updates will introduce, as not patching is just not an option. Unless the patch day, you disconnect your internet. Like, I mean it. Like, you cannot just launch Origin on offline mode, because it would, for a split second, check there's an update and go, no, you cannot play it until you update it. Literally the only way to play a previous version is to completely disconnect your internet, which is stupid. 2 years, and we're still not seeing any of the major expansion packs. Namely Seasons and Pets, and for me it also would be University. Well, I understand that EA is trying something new, and I do support trying new things, because it would be very stale if you got re-releasing the same thing over and over and over again. When you're trying new things that are not the people's favorite, it's very easy for the game to feel very bare bones. 2 years in, I'm still doing the exact same thing I was doing 2 years ago. Because mostly what's new is a bit of aliens and some active careers that you're not gonna be playing all the time. And the club system. And the club system's great, but you're still playing with vanilla content with it. We're 2 years in. We have like 3 years to go. Like, you would expect major things to start showing up like right now. And that's what worries me. The fact that they're not showing up right now. There's also a question of, if we get in the game pack, is it coming back? We got camping in a game pack. Does that mean that we're no longer gonna get a vacation expansion pack? Only time will show. Because if we won't get a vacation expansion pack, that's a real bummer. And speaking about that content drought and the lack of expansion packs for now and the lack of fans' favorites, makes me mad that they spent a year, like a year of development time, just making Create a Sim be unisex rather than doing really important shit that the game desperately needs. Very little in-game space. And we cannot create our own neighborhood and game pack buildings, provided we need to place them ourselves. I do fear that we will run out of space. I can show you the 4 neighborhoods that are out right now. The 5. 3 that you're intended to live in have very little empty slots. There's one empty one that EA just put there in when people were crying for space, but even that will run out. Depending just how much stuff we'll get that we need to actively plop down ourselves. Well, personally, I do not care for this myself. It is worth to mention that this is the only Sims game where we lost a whole life stage. And between 1 and 2, we gained all of them. Between 2 and 3, we got young adult as a stable thing and not just a university thing. And between 3 and 4, we lost toddlers. I didn't like them. I didn't, but it's still content that just got lost. And nothing replaced it. We didn't get a new life stage to like go, yeah, here's preteens, guys, go and play with preteens. No, we just lost it, so that's a bummer. Family trees get cold. Come on, EA, it can't be possibly... the family tree can't possibly take that much amount of stuff. I don't know what happened with this one, but they're like, we need to keep your load things down. I will take that longer load thing if you allow me to keep little like 20 by 20 pixels portrait and a name. How hard is that? At least let me have a name. Like, what kind of family tree is this? To sum up my opinion on it, Sims 4 has a lot of potential. Has recaptured a piece of the soul that the franchise lost with The Sims 3. However, it's such a gamble. Every single month the new update is a gamble, as it could break your game or break the gameplay that you love. With 2 expansion packs, I also have no idea what direction they're trying to steer the game into, nor how much expansion packs it will end up with. I'm not sure will there even be a Sims 5. So that's all I'm gonna say. It's a gamble that I'm drawn to because I like the base game and I see the potential of it, even though I have already been burned by an update. Probably won't pick it back up again until the end of its lifespan, when I can finally look back and go, this is what's in, this is what's not. Do I like it? Do I not like it? If the answer is yes, great, I finally have a game to play instead of sitting there every month cowering going, will they ruin what I like about it or not? So yeah, that's my opinion on it. And there, that was a very long review of the whole Sims franchise that pretty much nobody will watch, I guarantee you. Love the idea of it. I love for what it does. However, when I disagree with EA's direction, there's nowhere to go but back. It tries to be mad because there's only Sims or Void. I actually sat through Void when it was The Sims 3's time to shine, and it looks like I'm doing it again. There's a 17-page topic on Paradox Interactive forums saying, please make your own version of a live sim. There's only one game in the genre, please. The developers did respond to it. They say that they compared it to knocking down a fridge, and they said that a city builder was a very big fridge to knock down, and that they did it in steps. They did Cities Motion 2, and only then went for the full-fledged city sim. And they're like, we want to knock down the giant fridge that is a live sim, but it would be in just as minuscule steps. And they're like, the first step is gonna be out somewhere 2016, but that was a message a year ago. And I'm gonna be following them to see, do they actually do it? Because I would rejoice for an indie game right now. Like, if an indie said, okay, this is like a small little live sim kind of thing, and you can't do like, you only can do like 1/10 you can in Sims, I would be like, I'm gonna support you because you're trying to make competition. I'm gonna support you because you're trying to make a genre alive instead of monopolized. There are people sending messages to Bethesda, Activision. They're sending to people. Thousands of people are knocking on every single door going, please, just try it. It's just... This subgenre completely belongs to EA right now. The Sims is the only thing in it. And it really upsets me because when there's void, you don't go anywhere. You either put up with whatever's out right now or you sit there. So, that's my what I think rant. Thank you for listening.